And good morning, dear citizens of the Republic, and welcome back to the Galactic Podcast. I am your host, Chancellor Palpatine, and today I am joined by a very distinguished guest, Master Ki-Adi-Mundi, a seated member of the Jedi Council itself. Master Mundi, thank you for agreeing to come onto the podcast today.
The pleasure is mine, Chancellor. I welcome the opportunity to speak openly with the people of the Republic.
Yes, open dialogue is very important. Now, I have invited you here today specifically to give you the opportunity to publicly respond to a number of, let's say, persistent allegations concerning your private life. But before we address those directly, I think it would be only fair and responsible to provide our listeners with some much needed context. Now, to my admittedly limited understanding, the Jedi Order forbids worldly attachments. Is that correct?
That is true from a certain point of view.
A certain point of view? How so?
You see, Chancellor, it is not that the Jedi forbid all attachment outright. We understand that connection is the nature of the living force itself. All things are bound together. What is strictly prohibited within our order is physical and emotional intimacy.
Physical and emotional intimacy. Are you referring to love, Master Mundi?
Certain forms of love, yes. Our teachings remind us that fear leads to anger, anger leads to hate, hate leads to suffering, and suffering opens the path to the dark side of the Force. When one loves intensely, one invites the fear of loss, and that fear compromises judgment.
Ah, I see. What you are describing is jealousy. And by love, am I correct in deducing that you are primarily referring to romantic feelings?
That is the clearest example of the sort of attachment discouraged within our order, yes.
I understand. So then, by that logic, the allegations you are currently facing would not only compromise you in the eyes of the public, but also within the halls of your own order.
No, no, by the Force, no. My fellow Jedi have always been aware of my delicate situation, Chancellor, and of the necessity for certain exceptions.
If I may, perhaps it would be prudent to speak plainly so as to not confuse our listeners. Master Ki-Adi-Mundi has recently been accused of being the head of what has been described in several outlets as a secret harem. Now, one would be justified in feeling confused by this allegation, especially after hearing you explain that physical and romantic love are strictly prohibited within the Jedi Order. So, Master Mundi, let us move straight to the point. Yes or no? Do you have a secret harem?
Oh, Chancellor, harem is such a misleading word. It implies sexual deviancy, something looked down upon by society in general, not merely by the Jedi Order. What I do have, and what these allegations seek to weaponize against me, are multiple wives.
But, Master Mundi, a harem, by definition, is a collection of multiple wives.
Only if one ignores the full meaning of the term. A harem is traditionally understood as a group of wives whose primary purpose is the physical pleasure of the owner. I seek no such thing. The purpose of my wives has never been to bring me pleasure. The reason I have multiple wives is because the birth rate of my people is dangerously low, and the number of males born is lower still.
Yes, we are all quite aware of the demographic situation on Saraya. What perplexes me, however, is this. You have just described the duties performed for the survival of your people, duties which appear to run directly counter to the most basic tenets of the Jedi Order.
They do not go against our tenets for precisely the reason I have outlined. While I do perform the physical duties necessary for reproduction, I feel no emotional attachment to any of my wives. I feel nothing for them, and I feel nothing during the act itself.
Oh, but Master Mundi, one could argue that this is worse. What you are describing now is not love constrained by duty, but the reduction of these women to instruments of reproduction. You feel no romantic affection for them? You feel no emotional bond? Is that not, by your own definition, the very thing we just established a harem to be? You are not loving these women, you are using them.
Those women, my wives, are perfectly aware of their situation. They know the needs of our civilization. They are fully informed of who I am, of my status within the order, and of the fact that I am forbidden from reciprocating any emotional attachment they may wish to form. This was made clear to them before they became my wives.
I see. One cannot help but feel for these women, robbed of the opportunity to serve at the very least a husband capable of loving them. Now, tell me, Master Mundi, what do your fellow Jedi think of this arrangement? You mentioned earlier that the Council has always been aware of your particular circumstances.
Chancellor, please allow me to clarify something. While I do not love these women romantically, it is not accurate to say that I do not love them at all. I love them in the same way I love you or any other being.
The way you love me?
Yes, as Jedi, we are taught to love all living things. We are all children of the Force. What I do not possess is attachment. I am fully aware and have accepted that all things are fleeting and that all beings will one day return to the Force. To deny this truth is to invite fear, and fear compromises both the individual and the order.
Of course.
As for my colleagues, they understand the precarious situation of Syria. As you yourself noted, it is common knowledge. The Council has full faith in my ability to maintain emotional distance from my wives and from my children, despite the biological necessity of reproduction.
So, to be absolutely clear, you are claiming that you are fully capable of performing your reproductive duties without forming any physical or emotional bond or intimacy.
Yes, that is precisely what I am trying to say.
Hmm, I see. I see. Then tell me this, Master Mundi. If you are capable of such restraint, why are your fellow Jedi not? And why are you granted this exception? Why do other members of the Order not enter into similar arrangements?
I am not the only exception. There have been multiple instances in which Jedi Knights and Jedi Masters have reproduced, either to preserve a species, such as with Masters Yoda and Yaddle, or with the intention of producing Force-sensitive offspring, future Jedi, to bolster our numbers and better defend the Republic.
Well, hold on just a moment now, Master Ki-Adi. If Jedi are capable of forming physical relationships without violating the tenets of the Order, If you are capable of reproducing your own members, then why is the Jedi recruitment practice necessary at all? If you can create future Jedi willingly, why do you take unwilling, force sensitive children away from their parents?
That characterization is misleading. Not many Jedi have yet reached the level of training necessary to avoid the temptation that comes with such practices, and so the number of offspring we are able to produce is limited. Not to mention that any Jedi that is with child must be removed from active duty, lessening our numbers. And the growth of our increasingly lessening numbers is especially important now during a time of war. Take the droid attack on the Wookiees, for example.
Master Mundi, please, we are not here to discuss the military situation on Kashyyyk. We are here to discuss the public's perception of the Jedi Order and your seeming practice of taking children away from their families.
We do not take children. Families are offered a choice, one that allows their child to reach their full potential.
A choice.
Yes, the Force can be dangerous when left untrained. Unchecked power leads to instability and sometimes catastrophe.
Of course, safety first. And what happens if a family declines?
Then the child remains with their family.
No further contact?
We monitor the situation for the safety of the child and others.
Naturally. You see, Master Mundi, I find myself thinking of something you said earlier, that attachment leads to fear, and fear leading to suffering.
That is correct.
Would you agree that removing a child from their parents at a formative age might cause fear?
In the short term, perhaps, but the long-term benefits outweigh the temporary discomfort.
Temporary discomfort? Forgive me, I'm not a Jedi. I speak only as a public servant who has listened to many citizens over the years. Parents often speak of discomfort when their children leave for military academies, for diplomatic postings, for senatorial service. But in those cases, the child remains in contact with their family. Letters are exchanged. Visits are permitted. The bond is strained, perhaps, but not severed. To my understanding, however, once a child is taken in by the Jedi Order, all connection to their former family is ended.
That is correct.
No calls, no correspondence, no visits.
Attachment must be fully relinquished.
I see.
Force sensitivity manifests early. Delay is dangerous.
Dangerous how?
If a child remains with their family long enough to become fully self-aware, they inevitably form emotional attachments.
And attachment leads to fear.
Yes,
So you wished them to lack attachments outside of their devotion to the Order.
that is not completely accurate framing.
Then please, feel free to expand on it, Master Jedi.
The child must understand the dangers their power represents. Untrained force sensitivity can lead to destruction of themselves and others. It is easier to prepare a child for those dangers if that preparation begins early.
Easier, in more ways than one, it would seem. Tell me this, Master Mundi. How many force-sensitive children decline Jedi training?
Oh, I do not have the exact figures.
Ballpark.
Few.
Very few. That is statistically fascinating. Earlier, you mentioned that Jedi sometimes reproduce to preserve species or to strengthen the Order. May I ask, who decides when that is appropriate?
The council.
The same body that enforces the ban on attachment.
Yes.
So the council determines when attachment is dangerous and when it is necessary.
That is one way to describe it.
Another might be centralized moral authority. Not that there is anything inherently wrong with that. Many institutions function in that way. I want to briefly return to your whys, if I may.
Of course.
You said that they are fully informed, that they consent. Tell me, are they free to leave?
Yes?
Have any of them ever done so?
No.
Interesting. And your children, how many of them have joined the Jedi Order?
Several.
Voluntarily?
They were encouraged
By you?
by the order.
Ah, you see how these lines blur, Master Mundi, even for someone listening in good faith. There is something I hear often as Chancellor. From senators, from laborers, from merchants, from refugees who have lost everything but still believe in the Republic. They tell me the Republic feels distant, abstract, governed by rules they did not write and cannot meaningfully appeal. And when they speak of the Jedi, they speak with admiration, yes, but also with distance, as though the Jedi have become less a living order and more an idea.
An idea.
Enforcers of the Republic, symbols or figureheads of peace, yet very few citizens truly understand how your order functions, how decisions are made, where exceptions exist and where they do not. And I worry that this lack of understanding breeds assumptions, miscommunication, rumors, the very kind of allegations you find yourself answering today. The result from citizens arriving at a conclusion as though the Jedi exist above consequence.
We are accountable to the Senate.
Are you?
Yes.
When was the last time the Senate overruled a Jedi decision?
That is not how the relationship functions.
No, I suppose it isn't. You see, Master Mundi, this is what troubles many citizens. Not malice, not conspiracy, but opacity. You ask the galaxy to trust that you feel no attachment, that you can love without bias, act without desire, judge without preference, and perhaps you can, but institutions are not judged by their best members. They are judged by the systems they normalize.
We have safeguarded peace for 1,000 generations.
You have. And no one can deny that achievement. But peace maintained by exception, secrecy, and moral exemptions granted to the few is a fragile peace. I worry I've dragged us into heavier waters than I intended.
They are necessary conversations.
I agree, and I appreciate your willingness to have them publicly. I suspect that many listeners will feel reassured hearing you speak so confidently about restraint, discipline, and duty.
I hope so. Misunderstanding breeds fear.
Indeed. And fear, as we know, leads to complications. Master Mundi, thank you for coming onto the Galactic Podcast today. Thank you for addressing these allegations and for helping clarify the philosophy behind Jedi practices.
Thank you, Chancellor. I appreciate the opportunity to speak openly with the citizens of the Republic.
Perhaps we can do it again sometime.
I would welcome that.
Excellent. And to our listeners, thank you for joining us today. As always, I encourage you to listen carefully, think critically, and remain engaged in the institutions that govern your lives. Democracy survives not through silence, but through conversation. Until next time, may the Force be with you all.